Do you want to add some strength work into your routine without quitting group classes? Are you wondering how to adjust your macros from a deficit to maintenance? Does coffee count towards your water goal? And will we be offering business coaching? The answers to all these questions and more in today's episode, so stay tuned. All right, guys, welcome to episode number 176 of the Digital Barbell Podcast. Thanks, as always, for being here. We've got another great episode for you.
And we're back with video.
Back with video.
It's been like a year since we've done a video podcast.
So if you're only listening to this on the app that you listen to podcasts in, you can also head over to YouTube and see what we're wearing.
It's time to stop being lazy and do these videos again.
Yeah, that's really what it boils down to. We got a Q&A episode for you here, but before we even get into it, we're back with another sponsor. We've been in a sponsorship drought, and we're lucky to have snagged one for this week. So let's give them a shout out. This week we are sponsored by Turkey Chili.
Huh?
Turkey Chili, baby. It's that time of year again.
We haven't even made turkey chili.
Yeah, but we're about to. Turkey chili is great. It's something that this time of year we kind of put on repeat in our dinner cycle. It's super easy to make. It's delicious. And we have a lot of clients who use it as a meal prep thing also.
We use a white bean turkey chili. I think that's important to note, not like a chili.
Yeah, it's basically a couple pounds of lean ground turkey, like 99% lean, a couple cans of Great Northern white beans, a couple cans of chilies, sometimes some like Rotel or something, if I'm not mistaken.
No, but sometimes we do like those bags of frozen bell peppers and some veggies to just like bulk it up a little bit with veggies, because usually it's just like beans and meat.
Yeah.
And then we do like a side salad. But yeah, you can bulk it up with veggies as well. And it's broth.
Chicken broth. Yeah. And then like cumin and cayenne and all the seasoning and pepper. Actually, it gets better like the second day
and
that you eat it.
I put like a little layer of chips at the bottom, and it like really thickens up the masa. Is what I like
That's what she calls it anyway. Yeah, so we have a Q&A. I thought I'd give a little update on, I've been documenting on Instagram this little short weight cut that I'm doing right now. So the reason I'm doing this weight cut is really a couple different reasons. I did a cut this summer and I called it off in the middle of it because I just really wasn't into it. I wasn't really ready, willing, and able to do all of the things that it was taking, like the tracking and the sacrifice and the extra steps. Like it was too much. It was too stressful. And I was like, forget it. I can't do it right now. I had peace about that. And that's why I quit. Now I'm in a place now where I felt like, okay, I'm ready to commit to this again. Like I have the time, I have the motivation, I can do it. Plus I wasn't really happy with the way that some of my clothes were fitting. And actually, like, you know how your phone suggests old pictures to you sometimes that pop up? I was like, man, I really liked the way that I looked when I was a little bit leaner than I am now. And I just don't feel that great. So anyway, those are the reasons that I started it. So I started off with a fairly aggressive calorie deficit in the range of 1,800 to 2,000, which I knew would be a deficit for me and would kind of like make my body start burning fat instead of just down-regulating my non-exercise activity. It would be like a, quote, shock to the system. And it has worked. The first week and a half or so actually was down about an average of 3 pounds just in that time period. Now, not all of that has been body fat. You know, when you go into a cut, you're probably taking the biggest hit in your calories from carbohydrates. So you're definitely depleting some glycogen and some water weight in those beginning stages. So I know that was happening, but it was a little bit faster than I wanted to lose weight. You're always at risk for losing more muscle when you're more aggressive. So the last few days, I've crept my calories up to more than 2,000 to 2,200 calorie range, and things have kind of started to level off. So I'm still monitoring, but I'm feeling good. My workouts have been fine. And I'm just going to take it week by week from here. Really, the only goal is to lose another 1 or 2 pounds, because I'm calling this a mini cut because I'm not trying to like diet through Thanksgiving and Christmas and all that kind of stuff.
I'd say your training has had to change because of your shoulder injuries or whatever you call them. But, you know, you've also basically just been able to do a couple leg days, and then you do a lot of running on those other days when...
Yeah, and some accessory work.
When I'm in the gym bench pressing, you're out there running.
Yeah, and that's another reason that I was motivated to do this, because it's super tempting when you have an injury to just kind of throw the baby out with the bathwater and be like, you know what, forget it. I can't train the way that I want to. It means something. I don't know. I don't know. You know, why even pay attention to my nutrition right now? It's not going to be optimal. My training's going to stink, and like that's really the wrong mindset. I'd rather take that energy that I'm not able to devote to my the training that I would normally be doing and put it into my nutrition. There's tons of ways to make progress, no matter what. So that was another reason in the motivation.
And I'll have to be honest here. When he first started this, I was that unsupportive person in the house that was like, oh my gosh, really? You're going to log a half of a bell pepper? Like there's something. I mean, I think I get it. Like, we talk all the time about, like, you just got to ignore those people that are haters. And I was the hater because I'm not logging. And it annoyed me that you were like grabbing the scale to chop up a bell pepper to put it on there. But I understand the big picture and I see why, but
I just put my blinders on and went ahead anyway. I got goals,
after the first like week or so, it doesn't bother me. But for some reason, there's that initial like shock of like, really, you're going to weigh 2 strawberries out.
Yeah. Really, like, anything you do doesn't have any effect on anybody else. So you just have to ignore what other people think or what you think they're thinking and just go on.
Yeah. So, but I apologize. I wasn't supportive of the logging and the weighing.
You posted something on Instagram this week in the story of you doing some squats. And
oh, yeah.
Why don't you tell everybody what's going on with your squats?
Nothing really. Me and squats are not friends. I don't know. I have like issues with my hips that just are kind of like a reoccurring thing. I feel like I was blessed with like a pretty sturdy body. Like I attribute it to, like, I know my grandpa was like that, but there's one thing he did have is like, oh, gotta catch it in my back or my hip.
My hip.
So I caught the catch and man, yeah, I aggravated my hip, and it has been 6 months or so since I've been able to actually do a squat without a target. Even an air squat hurt.
When you say target,
like using a bench to
box
squat too, because if I squatted too low or didn't have that target to like, it was the point where you change positions that hurt my hip. So if I had something to squat to, that helped me like stop and then helped me change positions without, having to use my hips to change the positions. And so, I mean, I couldn't even believe it. I just tested it 2 days ago and I was like, wow, that didn't hurt. But what was happening is my hip was aggravated. It was so tight. It was pulling me to the side. So every time I squatted, my whole body kind of like shifted to the left, and it's not anything I wanted to. I mean, I didn't want to like force it through the pain or have my spine twist like that when I squatted. So that's why I would use the target. I'll go a little above parallel and bring it down. And then finally, after months and months and months of doing that, it's not hurting. I mean, I went light. I'm just like, let's not go crazy. Let's just test the waters here. But it's exciting. But it's one of those things you just have to like work around. Like, I didn't stop squatting. I didn't stop doing lunges. I didn't stop doing the things. I just adjusted so that I didn't aggravate it or make the problem worse.
Mm-hmm. Most things will heal on their own if you just don't aggravate it. That's the approach I'm taking with my shoulder, in addition to doing some strengthening, mobility, and flexibility work too. So if you got a tweak out there, use that as encouragement. Stay patient, control what you can, and just keep going.
Yeah. I also was going to talk about one other thing. We've talked about coffee shops a lot, but I think I had an eye-opening experience at a coffee shop yesterday. We went to I'm not going to mention their name. It's a good chain. It's an awesome chain, but they have the calories on the menu. And I mean, I think you posted a picture of the calories last time we went there. They have some calories that are like 760 plus. I mean, some drinks that are 760 plus calories. And I heard specifically one of the baristas saying that they don't know. They have like a syrup that they call like a moon juice or something. And they do not tell you, even the employees, what's in it. They're like, I don't know. And I'm like, number one, I think that's bad. Like, I want to know what's in my drink. Yeah. And I got a chai tea latte, which I thought would be an innocent drink. And I'm drinking it and I'm like, this thing is good. And so I started like Googling around, like, what is in this? And they're talking about online, like, these things can have like, the equivalent of like 50 to 70 grams of sugar.
Like 1.5 Cokes.
So yeah, I actually tried to make my own this morning. Miserable fail. Not sweet, not delicious.
You'll notice she does not have a coffee on the table. I have coffee and water.
I don't drink 4 coffees in the morning.
This is decaf.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, you can see why people struggle to lose weight if they're stopping at a coffee shop and getting a drink that they don't realize has almost half or more of their daily calories, and they're probably getting a pastry on top of that. I mean, boom, there you go. There goes any chance of losing weight.
And they put it right there on the menu for you to see plain as day. But there's something about like I'm having a drink. This is not an 800 calorie thing I'm ingesting, right? It's a drink. It's hard to believe.
Like it would be the equivalent of you stopping off and having 3 pieces of pizza on your way
just to work
from a calorie. You'd never be surprised. Like, hey, I wonder why I'm not losing weight. Oh yeah, I was eating 3 pieces of pizza
every day on my way to work. That's a good, that's a good way to put it.
But since we're drinking it, we have this disconnect. Oh, these calories don't really count. Same thing with like, we're going to go on a side tangent here maybe, but same thing with just like grabbing bites off of your friend's plate or your kid's plate. Like,
or opening a bag of chips before dinner.
Right. Like all those calories count the same, whether you chewed them, regretted them, drank them, ate them off somebody else's plate, whatever.
Had them in coffee.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, but true.
Yeah.
All right. So we got our sponsor. We got some updates on what's going on with us. Let's get into some questions that were submitted from people.
Here we go. Number 1, I've been doing CrossFit consistently for 7 years, but I really want to spend some time working on my strength and maybe build more upper body muscle. I love the community and don't want to quit. How can I do both?
You got some experience with this with some of your clients that actually work out.
And I get it. Like loving the community, wanting to be in that space, wanting to go there and show up for your friends and be with your friends in the morning or afternoon or whenever you do your workout. So I get it. We have several clients that actually do this, that do maybe 3 days of strength training and like 3 days of CrossFit, and that's their week. That works great.
Yeah.
I think like you have to just like, I think like no matter what you do, if this is what you've decided like, I know it will benefit me to do a little less CrossFit and a little more strength training, then you just have to like wrap your mind around doing that and like go ahead and do it, and don't worry about the other people in the class, what they might say. Like if they might, I saw this at my gym, that's why I'm saying this, like the community gets pretty tight at certain class hours, and if anybody disrupts the system or wants to go out on a tangent and do something else, there could be some like talk of like, hey, you're not showing up, you're being lazy, you're not getting up in the morning, whatever it is. And you're like, no, I'm strength training at home. Like, oh no, that's weak, whatever the comments are. You just have to like let your like results speak instead of your voice in this situation. But I do think it's a great idea to try to stay as a part of that community like 2 or 3 days a week. Yeah. And also do your strength training on the side.
I think I would also like look at what's the tendency of your gym, just in the CrossFit context, like what's the tendency of how your gym programs. Like, I think it's pretty common in CrossFit to do a lot of overhead work, like a lot of shoulder pushing overhead, and probably a lot of leg work. So maybe you can start by like working on the things that you don't get a lot of at your CrossFit class. And this could be gym to gym dependent. So really give that some thought. Maybe you can start out with just a couple days of strength training at home, because you are hitting a lot of things in the gym. I think also be careful not to sacrifice taking at least 2 legitimate rest days per week. Like if you start to feel that peer pressure from the group, and you're like, well, I'll go anyway.
I'll go 5 days a week and I'll do some strength training.
Right.
Yeah.
You're going to start to run into overuse injuries, possibly acute injuries. So,
and that's person to person dependent too. I think it depends on like, are you a novice lifter? Are you an experienced lifter? Kind of where you are, how much you're lifting, what you're doing outside of like CrossFit and your lifting, and just like using like, am I super sore? Am I not recovering? Am I feeling tired every day? Like using your recovery to judge how much or how little you need to be doing.
Yeah. And I would probably try to stick to that common model. That's 3 days on, 2 days off,
1 day off.
1 day off, 2 days on, 1 day off, to make sure that you are getting rest and you're not like doing 5 in a row and then taking your 2 rest days.
What you mean to say is 3 days on, 1 day off.
Right.
End it there. Like don't go more than 3 days in a row without a rest day after.
Correct. Yeah. And then like thinking kind of back to, and this could go for Orange Theory, Camp Gladiator, or whatever, any kind of group class. Besides the strength component, I think this person said they were interested in building some upper body muscle mass too. So like look at what are you missing in what you're going to get at the gym and build that into your program also. It's probably going to be a lot of like single joint isolation stuff like bicep curls, tricep extensions, lateral raises, glute ham work, those kinds of things. So you got to look at this from like a holistic perspective. And if if you're just going to download a template online, it's kind of a crapshoot whether you're going to get what you need or not.
Yeah.
So really put some thought into it, or hire a coach who's willing to talk with you about what you're going to be doing in your group class and tailor something to what you're really going to be missing. So you are maximizing the time that you're going to spend doing this.
Exactly. And there are some gyms I know that will like allow this open gym time. So it could be like a time where you kind of go to class an hour early or stay an hour later, and you get to do both, like experience the CrossFit class in the community and then stay after and do 30 minutes of lifts.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We both have clients that do exactly, and Haley does too.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Number 2, I listened to last week's episode about switching from a deficit to maintenance during the holidays. I've been in a deficit for 6 months. What's the best way to find my maintenance, and how should I adjust my macros? Love it. So they listened, they're bought in. They're like, I can't just be in this deficit forever. This is the good time of year.
Yeah.
To come out of that deficit and go into maintenance.
First of all, I applaud this person for being aware of this, the social aspect to this too, and realizing that you don't have to just hit the pedal to the metal until you reach your goal, that you can take your foot off the gas for certain periods of time, as long as you do it on purpose, so you feel good about it. Yeah, so this is something that I've definitely changed my thinking on and approach with clients over the years. This is something that they're continuing to research too. This, and like, it gets tied up in the conversation with reverse dieting, which is increasing your calories after a diet and all that stuff. So the common knowledge used to be, and I think what most people used to do, is to slowly increase your calories when you're coming from a deficit up to what your new maintenance calories are. Because the truth is, you don't really know exactly what your new maintenance calories are going to be. There's a lot of factors. Was there any metabolic adaptation? How much did your body composition change while you were dieting? How is your non-exercise activity going to adjust for your body to try to keep you in homeostasis? Because that's always what it wants. And the goal always is to increase your calories without gaining fat back. So the common knowledge was to do this slowly over the course of weeks, hopefully not months, but so that you did not overshoot where your new maintenance calories were. Now, over time, I've felt like that is just overrated, and practically with people, there's not much risk at all. And just bringing them up to what you think their estimated maintenance calories are going to be, hanging with that for a week or two, and then adjusting from there if needed. It's really only likely that you're going to store excess body fat if you way overshoot your new maintenance calories. I'm talking about like 300, 400, 500 calories per day. And if you're educated about the way that you do this, that's probably not going to happen. So I think the best approach is to either use a TDEE calculator on the internet to get an estimate of what your new maintenance calories might be, and go straight to it. Or if you've been tracking your rate of fat loss up until this point, to look at how much weight you've been losing per week, figure out how many calories that's been causing that fat loss, and then immediately bring your calories up, whatever that amount of that deficit.
I think I was eating 200 calories less than my maintenance. Just go ahead and add 200 calories.
Just bring it straight up. And then, continue to monitor yourself for those first couple of weeks, especially so that you can see if you made the right choice or not. This isn't like a one and done kind of thing, but gradually increasing, 20 calories a week for 6-8 weeks is overkill. Just come back up to what your new maintenance, what you think your new maintenance is. You'll restore any, hormonal changes that have happened since you've been in a deficit immediately. You'll feel like a beast in the gym. You'll feel this mental break immediately. You won't feel that so much as if you're just creeping it up slowly. So now, from a practical standpoint, what this means is if you've been in a fat loss phase for, I think they said 6 months, you've probably been pushing your protein, to that 1 to 1.2 grams of protein per pound that you weigh range, because that's great for fat loss. Which means you've had to pull, there's a dog drinking water in the background. You've had to pull some calories out of carbohydrates because of that, and possibly from fat too. So what I would do when you switch from being in a deficit and maintenance is bring your protein actually down closer to the 0.8 grams per pound per day, per pound that you weigh, and then make up the difference in your calories with carbohydrates and fat. So you're actually going to be on a lower protein diet when you're in maintenance than you were when you were in a deficit.
Okay.
And you just got to continue to monitor, and that will tell you if you've made the right choice or not. But look forward to those extra calories in the holidays, and like we talked about in that episode last week, push the intensity in your workouts and take advantage of them.
So that was kind of a lot to take in. let me summarize.
Okay.
I think what I hear you saying is like you could actually probably do like a hybrid as well. Like you could look at a TDE calculator online with like your new body fat percentage and your new weight and everything that you need to input and get the average TDE for you estimated, and then also think back about the calories. Okay, I think I was about 250 calories less. So just, okay, if this matches this, let's try 250. Go for how long? Like a week? Average the weight out and see if I'm maintaining.
Yeah, I would say at least 2 weeks.
Okay. So it doesn't have to be a super complicated formula to figure out this calorie bump that you're going to.
And take a little bit of the effort that you've been putting into protein, pull that back a little bit closer to the 0.8 range, and use those extra calories for carbohydrates and fats.
Yep. All right. Next one. Do you count coffee towards your daily water goal?
No, we do not count coffee towards our clients' daily water goals, and I don't personally.
I think that there's a lot of like, some people do, some people don't. There's not like a true, this is the correct way to go about this.
Yeah.
But I think it's more important to look at, why do you have a daily water goal? Not like, what can I count as water
right.
to get this goal?
What is the intent?
Right. The intent of the daily water goal is to create the habit of drinking more water a day and just bringing in awareness of how much water do I drink? How much, like how much am I staying hydrated? So I think like that's the more important piece of this is like, why do you have the goal versus like, what can I squeeze in to make this water goal happen?
Yeah. Like the intent of any goal really should be like to get the physical effect from it, the outcome that you want, and to build the habit of doing all the things that a healthy person does. Because ultimately that is going to be the only thing that gets you a lasting result. Is this now something that you do regularly that lines up with being a healthy person?
Yeah. So example, like you have a lot of your clients like post a picture of like, did you take a chug of water in the morning before coffee? That's like creating that habit of like, getting a little bit of water in first thing in the morning. It adds to your daily water goal, but it's not like, and then I'm going to replace the water and my coffee and put that in my log.
And like, yes, the water in coffee does hydrate you.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that caffeine is a diuretic and that dehydrates you, but who's to say that none of the water in your coffee is actually hydrating you? But the reason we only count water, and that could be like a carbonated water, as moving you towards your water goal, is because we want to build the habit of you being a healthy person who drinks a lot of water. I don't know of anybody who's struggling with the habit of craving their coffee first thing in the morning.
The morning coffee chug.
Right. But if you can go from drinking 24 ounces of water by habit throughout the day to somebody who drinks 60 to 80 ounces of water per day, you're going to get all those amazing health benefits, and you're just going to be a person who does healthy things over and over and over again.
And that's exactly what you just said about creating these habits. Like I think of my mom in this situation is just because she was like kind of like addicted to Diet Coke. She drank Diet Coke in the morning on the way to work. She got a big Diet Coke at her desk. She had them at lunch. She had them at night, just constantly. And then she stopped drinking Diet Coke for various reasons and has just relied on water, and is just like, cannot believe how much she had this habit of just like going to the Diet Coke was her drink. And she's changed that habit to like a habit of water. And it's just like, she's like, I can't believe how much I love water, how much I like enjoy drinking water, how much better I feel when I'm drinking water. And she just took away that habit. I was actually talking about the habit of gum yesterday to you.
Yeah.
Because I had that whole incident with like chewing too much sugary gum on our trip to Idaho.
Fake sugar gum.
Fake sugar gum. And I have not had a piece of gum since. And I realized like literally, I mean, I can't remember, probably like intermediate school and beyond, I have chewed gum daily. I always had gum with me, many pieces a day. And I stopped that habit a few months ago, and I have never even thought about gum. And I was like, it was just a habit, like a feeling like I had to have a piece of gum in my mouth. And honestly, now I go to water because if like, after you eat something, you want to like cleanse your palate.
Yeah.
Instead of popping in a piece of gum, I drank another glass of water, and I'm increasing my water goal. And I've just dropped this habit of gum, which was just as simple a habit.
I think that's a good lesson in like the most successful way to change a habit is usually to substitute it with something else instead of just thinking about going cold turkey.
Yeah.
Like if your habit is to, get up and, I don't know, drink, what would somebody drink in the morning other than water? Or just
coffee.
Drink your coffee and then skip it. Substitute the water for something that you would normally drink, or try to do that habit stacking method where something that you normally do anyway, like brush your teeth or read a book or something else you do in the morning, or make your kids lunch, like pair drinking some water with that, stack that good habit with something that you're already doing routinely as a habit, and you're more likely to keep it up.
But it's just habits.
Yeah.
All right, next one. What is the longest you've ever tracked macros for, and what is the longest you've gone without tracking?
That's an interesting question.
All right.
I think the longest I've ever gone in a row with tracking is probably a little under a year, and that was in 2019, I believe. Actually, I think I did it for about a year in 2017 straight also. And both of those times were because I had a really specific goal of fat loss. Therefore, I used the tool, to give myself the quickest results that I could, or the most detailed results that I could. But overall, I've probably done it, totaled up together for at least like 3 years of, typing my food into the app. And the longest I've gone without is probably about 2 years. I didn't track much the whole time that we lived in Boise. We were right in the middle of a pandemic. There was other priorities. We were growing our business, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I think why don't you go ahead and answer, then I'll give some thoughts.
I think I've tracked probably for multiple years, like you, like probably in a row. There was a time where I was just like tracking, logging and weighing my food all the time. And then I think I've gone since we moved from Texas and went to Idaho and then have been back. I don't think I've logged regularly since. I will do like a daily, like a 1 day check-in every once in a while, like every maybe 5 months, just to see if I'm curious how much I'm eating. But it's been years since I've actually logged. So
maybe 3 years since you tracked.
I think I've said this a lot of times. I do weigh all protein still to this day.
Just to make sure you're getting
not
enough.
Eggs, because you can know that's 3 eggs I cracked, but
right.
Meat, chicken, turkey, all that stuff.
Yeah. I think the thing I wanted to say about logging your food is it is literally just a tool. It can't be the tool that, fixes the mindset that you have around food. Otherwise, it's just going to be an unsustainable fad diet. If typing your food into the app is the only thing that keeps you from eating more, then when you stop doing the typing in the app, you're going to go back to eating too much food. When you're logging your food, the goal should be to have awareness around what you're eating and how you're feeling.
It's a tool to create the understanding and the habits of how much to put on the plate on each meal and how much to intake in a day. And
tying that together with how you actually feel and whether you're getting the result that you want. Typing your food into the app shouldn't be the only thing that tells you I'm hungry or I'm not hungry or this gave me a stomach ache or that kind of stuff. You have to create this holistic, I hate that word, holistic awareness of all these things. How does what you're doing affect you? And when you're going through the motions of weighing food and typing it into the app, actually, first of all, make sure you're doing it right. So you're putting in the effort of opening the app and typing in the food that you ate. Make sure you're picking a representation that you think is actually accurate of what you are eating, and not just choosing the thing that is the easiest to touch on or the thing that makes it look like you hit your calorie goal. That defeats the purpose of it. And then the second thing with that is create awareness around what that food that you're typing into your app actually looks like on your plate, so that you feel empowered when you're out in the world. And it would be socially unacceptable for you to pull your food scale out of your pocket to make an estimated guess of what you're eating, or long past your days of tracking to be able to just make a plate that lines up with what you would have eaten were you tracking.
Or just like we were talking about with the coffees, it brings awareness to what certain foods contain, how many calories, how much fat or something like that, how much sugar. You just become aware when you log for a long time of wow, this is a very high calorie food, or wow, this set of choices, this snack of a cheese stick and an applesauce cup is a great snack, but this snack of whatever is a bad, is gonna add to my daily calories.
This choice is gonna affect me this way. This choice is gonna affect me that way. Having that awareness. And
I think one thing to look at for is if you're just doing what's kind of like a reverse budget where you're just logging what you spent. Same thing with tracking. If you're just logging what you ate and making no changes to what you ate, because of the logging, you're just doing like reverse log.
Yeah.
You're just basically documenting. And if you get to the point where you're just documenting for documenting's sake and you're not adjusting the habits or you're not learning anything, then it's probably time to be like, either
refocus on what the goal is.
Refocus on the goal if there is a goal, or just be like, okay, I think I don't need to log anymore. I've created the habits and all I'm doing now is taking time to document in this app.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. And we talked on another podcast about how to like wean yourself off of logging if that's the thing you're doing.
Yeah.
Check that one out. But all right, let's move on. Next one. Have you ever thought about doing business coaching? I'm a new online coach and feel overwhelmed of where to start.
Have you ever thought about it?
I have.
Do you want to do it? No, I'm just kidding. I guess
coach me right now?
If we did it, number one, it'd have to be really expensive because it takes a lot of time, I feel like, to really work with somebody. We wouldn't want to do it with a lot of people. But what was the question? Have we thought about they're overwhelmed? I'm a new coach and feel overwhelmed with it.
And it is overwhelming. And I think that's like, I mean, it's a common place to fall into, and just like with anything, you have to just like,
it's like you don't, at the beginning, you don't know what you don't know. Like, we chose to hire a mentor when we transitioned to online. And I think he was actually newer than we knew when we hired him. But regardless, we learned a lot of things that we never would have thought of. And we corrected the path that we thought we should go down into, what has turned out to be a more sustainable, beneficial business model for us. But if you're feeling overwhelmed, number one, like have confidence that you are a good coach, first of all. And if you don't have confidence that you're not a good coach or that you are a good coach, you need to go learn how to coach people, because that you're going to need to be a good coach to be able to be a successful online coach. That's number one.
Sorry.
And then number two, and this is something that Blakely and I talk about all the time, is figure out where you need to be spending your time for business growth. You have to get your clients good results. You have to have deep relationships with your clients, but you have to also look at how much time you're spending on things that are only going to have a short-term payoff or make you feel good in the short term versus things that are going to have a long-term payoff for your business. Focusing on your existing clients and getting them really good results is something that can lead to referrals in the future, which needs to be a huge part of your business plan. Making the perfect Instagram post to be able to get a lot of hearts on it or to feel like that dopamine hit when somebody likes it or, that kind of stuff. That's an instant gratification kind of thing that isn't going to have a big payoff in your long-term business growth, unfortunately, until you get to the level where you have, tens, hundreds of thousands of eyeballs on your content. So you got to spend your time on more long tail, they call it long tail content, which has a bigger return on investment in the long term. This is stuff like growing your email list so you can form deep relationships with those people and educate them, show them who you really are. Spending time writing long form articles to having a website. I heard another guy say, like, I don't really think it's important for an online coach to have a website. They just need to have an Instagram page. And I'm like, wow, I could not agree with that any less.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, your Instagram page could be taken down.
You don't own your Instagram page, and I think that's something that people fall into. Like you feel like you have this whole history, even your personal one. That is not yours. It's someone else's data. So your website you own, videos that you create and you put on your website, your own content that you create, emails you send. That's all the stuff that you own, and those are the things that are the most important to build up.
Yeah, like who's gonna see your post on your trendy reel on Instagram, like it? Go to your profile and start like searching for other topics that you've.
That's the thing, is that you can't search Instagram. Like if you write, we used to write a lot of like detailed stuff and put it in Instagram and realized quickly that it was just gone in a flash. It's in literally a swipe up. And so you've put all this information on Instagram and it is gone in a second. But if that lives somewhere that people can search it on a blog, then you've written that once and it's there forever and you can forever reference it.
Yeah. Like the saying is that Instagram owns the house, but Google owns the block. So don't put a lot of your time investing into social media.
It's easy to fall into that trap because we feel like that's where people quote like us, but the people that's just scroll like. People that actually like us are the people that will go to www.digitalbarbell.com to see what you're all about, to subscribe to your email list, to start investing in who you actually, to listen to your podcast, to actually start investing in who you really are. And those are the people that you need to to cater to, but it's hard because those are, you don't feel those likes daily.
There's no instant gratification.
But you just have to start building it. An example of something that we did, that we built, that we didn't know we were doing it, is we would stay every Saturday after I coached the classes at the gym and just shoot content videos. We would be like, here's how to do a deadlift. Here's how to do a strict press. Here's how to do a reverse fly. And we'd think of like 10 videos that we needed to shoot, and we'd shoot them and take pictures in the gym. And we were just building up this arsenal. And at the time it was like, why are we even doing this? Who's seeing this? This feels like a waste of time. I'm tired. I want to go home. But we did it. And when we started like truly just 100% coaching online, when we got to Idaho and we like needed all of that content, it was there. And so starting to build up your arsenal of content that you own is the most important thing. Don't even worry about Instagram.
Blogs, podcasts,
emails.
Those are what matter.
Yeah. All right. Free coaching right there. I like this question. Who's a better athlete, Buttons or Lacey?
Who's better at raving at night?
I would say we used to think Buttons was the better athlete. And
what if people don't know who Buttons and Lacey are? Tell them, because they might not follow our Instagram.
They are dork dogs. But we used to think Buttons was the better athlete. She is built like an athlete dog. She's a Chiweenie. She is a Chiweenie, but you would know she's like a 40-pound Chiweenie. And maybe she's like 33 pounds. I think she's like 33 pounds. Yeah. She is like thick.
She's muscular.
And muscular. I mean, even the vet was like, this dog is muscular.
Yeah.
Like, you just touch her legs and stuff. But she's tore her ACL. She's so athletic. I mean, it's common in sports injuries. She has a slight ACL tear, so she can't sprint or do well. I mean, she does, but we can't throw balls and like let her play and go all out. But Lacey can just like,
I would say in a flat out race, Lacey's faster.
Lacey's so much faster, and Lacey could walk for miles and miles and miles. Buttons, like she like peters out within like a 3/4 of a mile. It's embarrassing.
Her conditioning is suffering
because of her ACL tear,
and her. She has this really thick black fur that we call duck fur, because like when you try to wash her, the water just flows right off.
She's like dry in 2 seconds, but she gets so overheated on a walk that she just can't take it. She prefers the climate of her native Idaho.
We should have known.
For sure.
We should have known back in Idaho, because even walking around that neighborhood, she would spot some shade. She'd trot over to the shade and plop down.
It's about to become to her year. I mean, her time of year to shine. So we need to be ramping up the walks. She can do a long distance walk. She just can't do sprinting right now.
I think I'm going to try to rig up something to put her leash on this treadmill here in the office and start getting her step count up.
All right, this is my favorite question, because I love that when people say not in the Buttons and Lacey, but the last question. Right. I downloaded your Arms, Abs, and You Know the Rest program, and I'm on week 2. It has a lot of moves like Arnold curls and diamond push-ups that I've never done before. Why did you include different exercises like these?
It makes me wonder what this person was doing before downloading the program.
Yeah.
If you haven't downloaded it, you're missing out. It's a 5-week program.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, so I'll put a link for where to download it.
And it focuses on arms, abs, and you know the rest.
Which we all know what the rest is. What was the question?
I've never done moves like Arnold curls and diamond push-ups. Why did you include different exercises like these?
You wrote the program, so maybe you can answer that. But these are exercises that we include in our own programs and our clients. But they're not stuff that you see everybody doing in the gym. So why do we do them?
And I think that's why I focused on some things. Like, I wrote this program for people who are already doing stuff like group classes, maybe like CrossFit and Orange Theory. So they're already doing some strict pressing, some push pressing, probably not a lot of curls, some regular push-ups. So I added, this is like a supplemental program that you can do on top of your current programming to see your arms, abs, and you know the rest. So I added those movements in there to get a little bit more definition. So something like a diamond push-up, if you have your hands in a diamond shape, you're going to actually work your triceps as well as your chest. So that way you're getting like two double bang for your buck on that movement,
Yeah, I think it boils down to 2 things really, like overarching. Like changing up the exercise selection a little bit does change the muscle groups that you're hitting. And like doing anything new, you're going to see more progress in it when you do it for the first time and you do it consistently and you progressively overload it and that kind of stuff. So a new stimulus can cause some new growth. Plus, doing different things actually just makes your training more enjoyable, which leads to more consistency, which leads to better results. Like, yes, there is like the fact that when you do an Arnold curl, your bicep is in the fully lengthened position, and with your elbow in front of your torso, you hit the heads of the bicep a little bit differently. Yes, there is that side of it, but just doing something different can keep you interested.
And, also, it can bring awareness to like, okay, I've always just done a curl where I'm standing and just doing my curl. And maybe you weren't like opening your bicep all the way.
Yeah.
And then when you do that Arnold curl, you're kind of forced to open your bicep all the way. And you're like, oh, wow, I really feel that. So it can also bring some awareness to the movements.
Doing different exercise variations also can kind of expose some weaknesses that you have too. Like I've seen guys that can rep out 25 push-ups in a row, and then you throw a diamond push-up at them and they're like, oh shoot, I barely got 10.
I know. You throw a hand release push-up at them and they're like, oh crap, I wasn't actually doing full range of motion push-ups.
Yeah.
So now when I have to touch my chest at the ground, lift my hands up, I can't do more than 5 in a row.
Yeah. So I guess there's 3 benefits.
I know this because I've won a push-up contest against a guy whenever it was a controlled hand release push-up situation. And he could normally do more push-ups than me, but comes to find out he wasn't going full range of motion.
Maybe guys,
you know who you are.
Maybe guys are just better at using that stretch reflex at the bottom of the push-up. And when you take it away in the hand release push-up, the playing field is leveled. So number 1, you can expose some weaknesses that you didn't know you had. Number 2, you can hit muscles with a different stimulus and see faster growth than you have previously. And number 3, it keeps it interesting, which makes you more consistent, which makes you get better results. And you work hard.
You know the rest.
You deserve results.
If you haven't already, download that program. I've already got thoughts of the next program I'm writing.
Oh, sweet.
So, yeah, get ready.
I'll put a link in the show notes, but you can also just go to digitalbarbell.com/arms and abs, all spelled out, and download it. 100% free, 5 weeks, make some gains.
Yeah.
Video demos of everything you need to do.
And we just got an amazing, a new client who is 71 years old, and he has been doing arms, abs, and you know the rest. I love it.
I'm excited for him. All right, I think that wraps up this Q&A episode. If you guys want to submit any cues for future episodes, I'll put a link for that in the description of this episode too. Enjoy the rest of your day.